Carlin.
And I'm Matthew.
And in this podcast we'll be talking to people in the creative industries in Glasgow and the surrounding areas, from actors and musicians to dancers and artists, all sorts of people in the expressive arts. And today we have Melissa Jeffrey.
Yay!
Welcome, Melissa.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to just tell the listeners what you do?
Yes, I'm mostly involved in bagpiping. I'm a piper. I play the whistle as well, but most of my work is I'm quite happy that it's kind of went down the piping route. I am the pipe sergeant of the Working Pipe Band, and I'm the pipe major, the secretary of Scottish Pipers Association. Involved in a lot of tuition, and I do a lot of piping and events for hire and things. I love the kind of spread of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't know you played the whistle.
Yeah.
Because I know you as a bagpiper, you know, so that's how I was going to say, how did we meet? We met in the street, you know, you play pipes and I film you playing pipes, you know, but I didn't know you played the whistle as well, you know, so that's interesting.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely.
So have you ever been to like one of the trad open mics and played whistle at that?
I have. I used to do it a lot more. I was in Union Sky for a year, and when I was involved in that, I'd done a lot of trad sessions. It was very fortunate at the time. The time I was in Sky, taking a step back from the pipe band, so I left a lot of time for trad sessions and that. There's a good few ones, like the Piping Centre has some, the Park Bar and things. There's a lot of great ones. Dram in the West End, they're great. I love being able to bring the pipes and the whistle, especially with the keys and the Notary and John pipes. It lets you play in a lot more tunes if you can go on the whistle too.
Wow.
And it's very similar technique to the pipes, just back to front, but same, a lot of the same similarities, just back to front.
Okay.
So when did you start playing? Did you kind of go through the conventional music?
Yes, I started when I was 8.
Oh.
And not in school, I started through the local pipe band. It was the year after I left school that my high school got a piping tutor.
Right.
So I just missed it, but it's amazing to see the things that are coming through from the kids that do get it in school now. But 8's kind of the youngest you can start for hand size on the pipes. So I started,
never
I'm
thought about that.
now 27, so next year will be 20 years now I've been at it.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, that explains why you're one of the best pipers in the street. You've been doing it for 20 years. I mean, I do say that. I mean, like, well, it's no secret that people often love pipes or they hate the pipes. And I've discovered that I actually really like good bagpipers. Apparently, I don't like bad ones. So that's where I am with that.
Yeah, but sometimes that's good because it's like, you know, you're really punished for being bad at I'm not good, but I mean, it's a very poorly worded statement, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, if it's good, it's really good, and if it's bad, then it's like, oh, it's a bit like violin in that sense. You know, violin, if you can do it really well, it's like, oh, this is amazing, but when you hear people learn, then you're like, this is torture.
That's so true. Anybody who's very good at the violin has very, very patient parents that definitely suffered through a phase where every learner has, where it's they're learning. The learning stage.
You said you spent a year at university in Skye. Which university is that?
Solomon Ostick, the Gaelic College up in Skye down in Slate. It's an amazing opportunity. They do actually do a trad music course. So that's the only time I've ever been involved in things outside of the piping and the whistle. It was an amazing. Got to work with Christine Primrose, does a lot of the Gaelic singing on the course. So it was great to be involved in the Gaelic singing because I'm not a great singer myself. But being able to be in workshops where or like group sessions, you can learn a lot about the Gaelic singing and things without ever bringing down the group by the fact you've not got a good tone yourself. So the great opportunity, and a lot of the trad work and stuff, being involved in trad groups. We put on a lot of Cayley's and performances and things like that. Learning a lot more about Cayley sets a very different style of piping than what I'd actually went into, and I'd went down the very solo traditional piping route of like competitions and pipe band stuff. So it was a great kind of, I'd really hadn't done much with the whistle at all before Solomon, and that was a great chance to spend more time doing that.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So what did you study at university?
It was in Solomon, I'd done Gaelic and traditional music, the Kjol tradition in Solomon, and then moved to the University of Glasgow. That's the thing, I loved Solomon, but I was still committed to a lot of stuff going on in Glasgow, and I was very lucky I could transfer to the Gaelic degree at Glasgow Uni.
Yeah. So you speak Gaelic as a...
Yes, I'm fluent Gaelic speaker.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something I just recently learned about Melissa, that she's a fluent Gaelic speaker, and tell us a little bit how you became because there's not very many native Gaelic speakers left.
No, I'm very fortunate in the sense of my mum's side. My mum's dad came from Lewis, and her mum came from Skye, from South Uist actually, through Skye. So I had I had Gaelic from birth, but not as much because the thing, my mum doesn't have Gaelic even though my papa does. So I had some Gaelic, first songs and things I learned were in Gaelic. And but then I lost a bit. I'd say when by the age of like 4 or 5, you start, it very much became predominantly English. And it was a great opportunity to be able to go back. It was more so when I left school. And I remember trying to see in 4th and 5th year, when you're picking your subjects, I suppose 2nd year, 3rd year, to see about picking up the Gaelic again and doing that, but at the time it wasn't an option in the area. So it was a great opportunity to be able to pick that back up after school and build back to proper fluency.
So what school were you at then?
Just St Benedict's in Linwood. My mum had thought about the Gaelic school in Glasgow, it was just we were slightly too far away, but and she couldn't drive, that was a big thing. My mum never learned how to drive till I was maybe primary 5 or 6, so I think there was a fear if anything went wrong, she's 2 buses and things to pick me up and things, it would have been, couldn't have kind of went quickly to pick up your child.
Aye.
And there would be a lot of times she'd get phoned when I was in school, like she's had really bad nosebleeds.
Oh.
So there was times she was having to come, be like, it's been happening for over half an hour now, like come pick it up.
Oh, that makes me squeamish.
So you
Sorry.
If my folks will watch, I'm terrible with blood and stuff like this. It's just nosebleeds are so random. They can da. Oh, okay. No. Oh yeah, I hate them.
So did you study music at school?
In 5th year, I was very lucky. In 5th year, I crashed music and hadn't done it much through school. And then in 6th year, sorry, I was able to do it. It was a very good opportunity as well because similar to Songwood, it was the first time I'd went from you can get through a lot of piping without ever doing much theory.
Right. Well, we've been talking about that in the previous 2 episodes.
So it was really interesting for the first time, not just to go into the theory, but to go into outside Scottish traditional music. Obviously, higher music. Well, I'd done the old hires. I was the last year to do standard grades.
Right. Yeah.
Showing my age there. So at that time, anyway, it was. I think it is still quite broadly focused. And things like composition and doing harmonies for other instruments. Bagpipes only have 9 notes and things, so you're quite limited in what you can do with it, whereas being able to compose for other instruments was quite interesting. But again, interesting again with what you've got in your head to when you get someone who can play a keyboard or something to play it back to an accordion, you're like, that's not at all what I thought that was going to sound like, because you're used to the 9 notes.
I didn't know bagpipe only had 9 notes.
Well, I didn't want to sound stupid, but neither did I. No.
Are you a sax player? I thought you might have had a clue.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you only go from low G to high A.
Right.
On the
Okay.
treble clef scale.
I always wondered how many keys you could do in bagpipe.
It tends to just be, well, the bagpipes are in their own key, so unless you go down like the B flat chanter or the small pipe range are kind of key on. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think some notes are
That must be
sharper or flat.
awkward at jamming sessions.
Yeah, or well, most people will just make sure they've got a different chanter
Right,
than they would
okay.
play pipes with in their own, and then that'll go into key of A or D. That seems tends to
Okay,
be easy.
yeah.
So my small pipes I can play in A or D.
Nice. So where people can just hit a transpose button, you have to have a different instrument. for
Yeah,
every
you're
key.
like digging through your case. That's something when pipers or whistle players come to trad sessions, the whistle cases are so cool. You get like 7 or 8 different instruments in a
Like
case.
harmonicas.
Yeah. Oh, are they the same? That's cool.
Yeah.
Suppose you find a lot of instruments maybe.
You're not alone.
Yeah, it's interesting talking to other musicians and seeing.
No, yeah.
So did you have a good relationship with your music teachers at school since you went in like quite late on and?
Yes, actually I did. It was more through the way the options worked out, and I love history and things like that. So I think it had actually been just due to I'd had to choose between music and history. I was like, I'm coming back for you. I'll come back in 6 years. So I've done it that way. But
And you were quite lucky to be allowed, because I know in my school you would not have been allowed to crash in 5th or 6th year. You would have had to have done it through your O grades and stuff like that. They would not
I
have
was
allowed that.
very lucky, and they also let me crash the higher course and the advanced higher pipe or music unit at the same time. So I managed to come away in 1 year with the higher and the advanced higher module for piping. So I was very lucky, and I think I had piping tutors outside of school. I was so grateful for their influence, especially Jim McLean. It's like 2 South U's tutors, or not South U's, I think Willie Morrison's North U's, but 2 U's teachers anyway, Willie Morrison and Jim McLean. So lucky that the way they've influenced my piping. Like having Western Isles influence from the start has been really beneficial. The Western Isles style of piping and everything is, I admire it a lot.
Yeah. Well, your family from Lewis, so yeah, I can see that. We've been talking a little bit about the instrument and the music, but what's it like being a girl busker?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I think sometimes I do wonder whether comments are made would be so quick to be made to a 6-foot guy.
What do you get? What do you get?
You get a lot of it's more so maybe the comments online. You get a lot of like, well, she's not doing this right or she's not doing that right, and you know for a fact they're not a piper because
That's very interesting, because I was thinking it would have been the stereotypical kind of, yes, a woman kind of thing, but you know, when it's actually kind of guys commenting how you're playing kind of thing, like, would you see that going both ways in a way? You know?
Yeah, another thing I find a lot is that a lot of people say to me, it's nice to see a female piper, and I suppose I'm very blessed as well. That it's so true, but I forget that until people remind me, because in the pipe band we're very lucky. I don't know if it's the way we've done tuition or whatever, but it's very much an equal split. Like, I remember the first year the pipe major was away, so I was left to kind of be in charge of the band that day, and it was total coincidence, but it ended up being a full front rank of female pipers. So in our band, it's interesting that Buskers one of the times I'm reminded the most that I'm in a very unique, fortunate position that I'm surrounded by very talented female players.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we have had a couple of comments. It's like, oh, I've never seen a girl piper before, and I'm like, you've clearly not been to Scotland before. You know, we have lots of girl pipers. You know, it's not an exclusively male instrument. Why would it be? You know, I
don't think any instrument's an exclusively male instrument.
I think I hear about I've definitely heard in the past other female pipers talking about their struggles as well, and I suppose maybe again me being fortunate with a lot of strong female pipers round about me, I know a couple of really strong female pipers who have struggled in, for example, like the solo pipe and competing circuit. Or there's various places where I think if you do end up in a position where there's not many females, maybe you are treated differently, but I'm in a lucky position where if we go anywhere as a band, there's loads of us.
There's loads of you to back up, yeah.
But I don't know if that my experience is the same across the board. I wouldn't want to speak for all female pipers, because I think I might be in a very blessed position.
Do you think you get treated, do you get the standard bad treatment as a busker that the other girls get? You know, have you guys had any weird experiences or
yes, sometimes you get people they'll ask, especially when you're also potentially going to be doing bookings and things, people come up and sometimes they'll act as if it's for a booking. They'll be like, oh, can I get your number, I'm interested, and then like, you know, you're just kind of bombarded with them. You need to block a few numbers.
Well, there we go.
And things like that.
You've had to block people actually because they took your number.
But then I've also had odd experiences of like people maybe interacting in a strange way, but other buskers straight away jumping in, making sure it's not an issue. I think definitely the community in amongst the buskers makes it that you feel very safe. You don't feel that it's ever going to be, nothing's ever going to be a problem. You've got your friends round about you.
Has Chris the balloon man saved you?
Oh yeah.
And Kieran, yeah. I mean, we were talking with Olivia earlier on, and it's almost always weird interactions with male audience members that you get.
Well, almost always, but the one I was actually thinking about, it was that I can't remember his name. Is it Malky's from Australia?
Yes.
He had actually, I'd brought a young girl up to busk for the first time, and she was having a bit of a bother with like a woman who wouldn't leave her alone.
Really?
And Malky actually came up and explained, do you know the pipe sounds so much better if you stand about 10 feet away?
That is good crowd control.
And he then went and stood with her for a good 10-15 minutes, like must have been talking about the play stuff, but you know, he totally de-escalated the situation.
Wow.
I was very grateful, because it was one of my students that I'd brought up for the first time, so I was glad. I was a bit...
I think in a way it is good, no, it's not good, but like if students get very early awareness, okay, this happens, you know, because like sometimes it can catch people off guard, so as much as it's never a nice experience, it is the public after all, and I feel as if it's not just exclusive to musicians, it can happen anywhere, and I think the earlier you can get that kind of experience, the more you're allowed to have the initial shock, and then you can learn how to deal with it, so that when you're at your level, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because it's never going to go away, it's always going to be there. As much as we would like it to go away, there's always going to be idiots, there's always going to be people, and the more we can learn to deal with it and kind of in a safe way, and then I think,
That's so true.
A question?
Yes, I do. The phone close. Sorry, see that okay. So when we're talking about busking and stuff like that, obviously you've been on the page a few times. How important is social media to you? Obviously you've done quite a lot now, and I'm sure word of mouth is very effective for you, but is social media also play quite a large role in that? Or?
Yes, I'd say it does. I've noticed, especially a couple of videos that has been put up from Buskers of Glasgow, they've done well, and I start getting more likes and follows through the page. Something I need to get better at myself is the actually posting on social media. Because because I think currently the majority of the engagement I have on my page comes from I don't think I've put up one organic photo, I think, and everything's posts I've shared from BuskersofGlasgow page and things. It's actually ridiculous how much that helps. Like it helps me. It's such a big. But I need to stop being lazy with that and actually start also putting out my own content. And because I keep on because your videos do so well and the engagement's there. It's so helpful actually.
I think one of the hard things of doing that as well though is the algorithm's unpredictable and it's always changing. And so sometimes, I don't know if you might have felt this, but it's common for musicians to be like, okay, I've got this video, but I want to hold on to it for as long as I can because I don't want it to go out and then no one looks at it kind of thing. Have you ever felt that before, or? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I think it's such a fine line between kind of that and I can be quite a perfectionist as well, and that I definitely it's hard when you're trying not to be a perfectionist, but you also know that real things like the algorithm and making sure you do get that right does exist, especially when you can't it's one of the very few things you can't Google and actually get an explanation for as to how to is there a good time to post, is there.
And I think the people that offer those solutions are lying.
They're lying. Lying.
There's no the hashtags used, I think even if it's what's popular at the time, it's changing constantly. So
it's even the engineers that make the algorithms don't actually understand how it works, and they make changes in the background and they are looking to see what happens as much as we are, because the situation, especially with Facebook, is huge. The situation has got so big that they make a small change and they don't know how it's actually going to affect the thing. I mean, like,
it's almost like it has a mind of its own.
A really stupid mind of its own. like a 6-month puppy, maybe not even as intelligent as that. But the algorithm is very complicated and there's so many factors involved in every single video. You don't know whether it's how I look, how I sound, what song I'm playing, what day I produce it on. You know, you've got absolutely no idea, because there's times when I'm like, you know, you'll play a really poignant song and I'll be thinking, that's amazing, that was so gorgeous, you know, or a real, you know, toe tapper like Mary's Wedding or something like that, you know, and I think that has got to do really well. And then really weirdly it was Crossing the Rhine that did really well.
Jingle bells.
I mean, I absolutely love juxtaposition songs, you know, where it's a song that you don't expect to hear on the pipes, and then, you know, like I love Thunderstruck on the pipes, you know, I just love that. Actually, you should do a version with Daniel. But I love that kind of thing. It's just, you know, I tell you what my favourite thing is like TV themes.
Really?
Remember we were talking about that one day in Edge, and I just love TV themes because once people recognise it, you can see them lock in and go, oh, I love this.
The most recent one I heard, but I was learning a new tune for something, and my mum came in, she's like, that's the Hovis advert, that's the Hovis advert. It was like going home or something, we I had no idea.
That's funny. Can you tell us something about yourself that not a lot of people know?
See, I was thinking about that. I'm quite an open book, quite a simple person. I think probably
I'm very surprised that everyone we've asked this to has been so open. We need to phrase it differently next
Who's
time.
got secrets?
Reveal to us your deepest, darkest secrets.
That's so true. I think as well, in any other circles, it's that, you know, the fact to speak Gaelic and my piper and my whistle player, whereas when you go in with musicians, that becomes like the normal things about you as well. And nothing good. Don't expect a message reply from that's the deepest, darkest secret.
What was your, have you got any fond or like really bad memories from a performance you've done?
Yeah, there's so many funny ones that come to mind. I think the best ones have been when I was younger. I got involved in being a piper for the Glasgow Lewis and Harris Association. Right. Some of the people I've met there, they're brilliant people, great interactions, and then you continue to just have hilarious interactions with them after. Like one guy, Donnie Finlayson, my first week at the Gaelic College, I'd met him through the Glasgow Lewis and Harris, and I went for dinner and I turned around and he's right behind me and we both have this moment of, what are you doing here? But the ones are so small that he's filming for Bannon and BBC Ireland by the same time, the same week I started college and things like that. But then also, it's playing in Newest, and about a month before this was when the ferry went into the pier. So then I'd actually been organised for once, I'd got my car put on, everything was fine, and then they had to put a smaller ferry on, so then I had no way of I could get on as a foot passenger. It was like half an hour taxi. I was competing once as well, and the fire alarm went off in the school, so my tutor had to run back to the car, and it's just like in October or something, so it's freezing outside, trying not to get the hands too cold, and I'm like hands up against the heater, for like an hour waiting because it was a big school, so the fire brigade had to come out and turn everything off.
That's very unlucky.
I'm saying that the more I'm thinking about gigs, I'm actually quite an unlucky person.
That's I feel very sorry for you because you'd already been nervous for the competition itself.
Yeah.
And so when you get
It was.
Did you not think, wait, is that me?
It's like, I thought I'd played awful, so like after that happened, I went home. We were like, let's just go home. And then I woke up the next morning to like one of the people in the band had been helping organise the competition, and an email went, "Well done to Melissa, who got 3rd place." And I was like, how did that happen?
Maybe it's one of these things you start playing, and the fire brigade come and say, "You are fire." Yeah.
Oh, good one. So when you get gigs, do you ever get gigs off of the Buskers of Glasgow page?
I'm not sure, not as often, but hopefully soon. I've had a few message inquiries through Facebook about that are yet to go. Hopefully they will go places, and I think they came from the Buskers of Glasgow page. I think maybe piping's a weird one.
Yeah, it's kind of weddings and funerals, isn't
And
it?
a lot of the time, you know, if you go with providers, they'll have the pipers they're associated with too. So,
yeah.
but I've had a few providers though reach out to me say that they'd want me to be one of the pipers. That, but heard some horror stories.
Really?
Yes, I was asked by one of the undertakers if I would start working with them, and proceeded to tell me that they'd had to wait like 15 minutes round the corner for the piper to turn up so things could get started, and I'm like, you know, as a piper I'm there so early. I'm so worried about that. Usually if that's a shocking day to say, I know it was a bit late today, but usually
no, you weren't late at all actually,
No, you weren't. So see in that line of work, the weddings and funerals and stuff like that, I've done a bit of church organ in the past, and like those kind of.
That's the camera telling us we can't cope with anymore.
Yeah, but basically it's like how intense do you kind of feel pressure in those, and more so funerals, like
funerals a lot
that's
more
not something that
yeah.
you hear people do very often.
That's true. The more I've done them, I find them quite relaxed now. But I think it's taking the things that would cause pressure and like completely taking them off your plate. Like I'll be there really early. A lot of the time I'll actually take a set. I'm very fortunate in the fact I have 2 sets of pipes, so I'll usually just fling the second set in the car just in case anything goes wrong with the first set and things. A lot about being prepared so that I don't end up really panicked about it. Trying to be more organised.
I think one of the things, maybe if you're so used to doing it, it can kind of make it feel easier. But I think it is just one of those occasions that if you mess up in something like that, it's so much worse than if you mess up when you're busking or if you're doing a wedding or a kind of good-willed environment, because like that's going to be the saddest day for a lot of people ever, and you know, the pressure must be. I mean, I really respect you for doing that.
I think it's the gigs. I think that the most thought goes into how you conduct yourself on them and how you go about things. If if I'm organising a wedding, someone won't reply to me what tunes they want, I just mess them back like, seriously, you need to tell me what you want picked down now or two. Whereas it's a lot more about even things like payments. I'm not even that fussed about rushing for payments. So you're not going to bother people like that. If you know, there's a lot more.
Well, there's that, but even in a wedding, like in those environments, I always find the minute or two before when everything's silent. I hate that.
Yeah.
Do you not just feel that kind of I mean, you know the songs, you know how to play it, but it's when there's that silence and you just have that time to overthink and like.
I think the next noise that's going to happen is going to be me.
Yes, or it should be. You hope it is. You hope it is.
You're like, what if I just put a cheeky wee accidental in here and see how it sounds? Yeah.
Yeah, or it's at that point the tune just goes out your head completely. You're like, how did this start?
Has that ever happened? Have you ever had a mind blank?
Yes, YouTube's my best friend for that, because there's recordings of almost everyone playing anything, so I'm like, just if you get me the first 2 seconds or 3 seconds of a song, I'm sorted. I'm sorted, but sometimes I do, especially busking people, like, do you know this song? And I'm like, give me a minute, let me look it up, I do. If you can sing it to me, we're sorted.
That's good.
So how long do you think you'll busk for? How many years have you been busking so far?
I think it's like 2, but maybe 3. More so the other side of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'd came into it, so I think however long we've been since the pandemic. The pandemic changes how you.
I know it's a weird time.
I'm hoping, hopefully another. See, I love doing it. I do love doing it. I'm hoping in the next year and a half to kind of get into more solid work, but at the same time.
Are you looking for a more conventional job rather than a music job?
No, I would love to be in a full-time music job. I think that's with the wedding events kind of higher side of things. Because the tuition stuff I'm really keen to keep on doing through the band and things. I'm not. that I don't see many circumstances where I'm teaching myself, because I would rather to be encouraging them through that than me taking it off on the side. So I think I love the freedom it gives me to be able to, the practice for myself and things. And my worry would be if I was, spent too much time doing other things, that my own practice would fall backwards, and it can be tricky to find the time to do it all. And I don't know that I would have without busking.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. Because, I mean, you don't usually busk for all that long, you busk for a couple of hours at most, and so that's all your day taking, you got the rest of the day to do other things.
Also, like tunes that I'm trying to learn, or tunes that I'm worried they're still out there, I can get 2-3 shots of it. I would never do that before they sound decent enough for the public, but if I'm like, especially when I know I'll go off a tune and it's going to go one of two ways. If you don't know the tune, it'll sound lovely, but if you do know, you'll know I've played the second part twice and the fourth part was non-existent. And it's just me trying to get myself out of habits like that, very subtle things that sometimes can be good to try and work out bad. Or when you're learning it, just get it solid and get it.
I think busking is a very forgiving environment for that kind of thing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were doing that in a live concert,
like,
what is this? And busking, I feel like people can understand it's not practice as such, but it's like there's a lot more room to do that, to say, right, would this work? If I was hosting an event or something, you can try out those ideas.
Yeah, that's so true. And then I've had like bongo terries, sometimes like other musicians come up and you get to try, like that's something I'd never done before, was play the pipes.
It's nobody, so cool. I mean,
it's so cool.
The bagpipes and bongo terries are something that nobody's ever done before. I mean, that's been the most brilliant pipe and drum combo that we've had this summer, isn't it? It's been absolutely mad.
And I don't know where else I would have got the opportunity to try
it,
or meet
Glasgow,
such good people.
The
people you meet as well, the musicians are so amazing.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, folk in the street are absolutely great these days, and you're right, it is a wee community, and people do look out for each other and stuff like that.
Kind of on that note, is there any buskers that you're particularly friendly with, or you kind of rate?
Yeah, they're all great. Obviously, Olivia's great, and Kieran, and Owen Vaughan's amazing as well, and Mayara.
Mai's back in Brazil at the moment, but Mai's great.
Yeah, she's amazing. And I think with the times I've been busking and the amount tutoring times, my evenings, there's a lot of people I've not met. I would love to make one of the nights out.
Well, Olivia says it as well. She said, "I'm standing here. I'm not meeting the other buskers. I'm the one that's walking about meeting all the other buskers."
I think that's it. There's just that many. You're never going to go.
Well, do you know that's true? I mean, some people say how many buskers there are. How many buskers are there in Glasgow? Any clues?
60.
Yeah, probably about between 50 and 60 activish buskers of Glasgow. And there's that many.
And I think it's like you can know them to say hello to, and then there's no people on a personal level.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's hard. Like,
no, it's true. I mean, like I've got my inner circle, people that I know best of all, but I generally know everybody pretty well.
They said something like it's difficult to know more than 100 people at a time.
150 is the Dunbar number.
Really? I thought it was 100.
150 is the Dunbar number. We talk about it. So in your inner circle, you've got maybe 5 people.
Right.
So, but if you've got a husband or children, right, that's taken up by all of them. That that can be your inner circle. That'd be your entire inner circle. And then your next circle is another 10 people on top of that, and then your next circle is another 20 people on top of that.
That's interesting.
I
didn't know that.
By the time you're the biggest number of people that you can generally keep in your head and have like some kind of meaningful relationship is 150.
Right. Okay. So I remember it was New Year's Eve, and I thought, right, I'm going to do an active attempt to try and message as many people as I can, and if I don't get you, then it means I don't know. But then it was funny because even then, after there was a couple of people, when I'd actively tried to message everyone I know, there was some people that I hadn't, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's you.
I actually know you quite well, and I never did.
Yeah, and that's weird, isn't it? Because I think you can only really think of so many people at one time. I mean, you might have 900 friends on Facebook, but realistically, do you have 900 friends in your life?
Yeah, so how many have you spoke to since you left high school?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, can you remember what the first song was that you learnt to play?
I think traditionally the first song a piper would learn is lot of the time Scots Way, but I do remember learning that like 3 years in, and it was the running joke was like,
How do you know
how
what
could you skip
one?
over this? So I think it might be Mary's wedding.
Mary's
I
wedding.
think Mary's
yeah.
wedding. I was thinking I'd maybe need to look back. My papa would know actually, because my papa used to come to all the lessons with me. He actually came to my first proper band practice, and they'd be like, "What tunes do you know?" And I would just look back, and like I actually like he was like my wee commenter because I just wouldn't speak.
Aww.
So you would know, but I think Mary's wedding.
Yeah, interesting one. Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you ever play at Highland Cathedral?
I do. My
That's
mum
probably
loves
my
it,
favourite
but
bagpipe
yeah, a lot of people love it. I think especially in a pipe band setting or something where you can get like one piper start and have other ones join in, have the drum, and especially if you've got good drummers that will play about with the effect of it. Yeah.
It's such a powerful song. Like,
Yeah.
it really is.
I only learned recently. It was written in Germany as well.
Really?
It's this German song, yeah, and it's not even
No,
that old.
it's not. It's actually.
It's not even that
I
old.
didn't
It's
know
a
that.
whole there's a
thought
whole
it was
strange history to it. I never knew, but
The more you know.
yeah. It's a very
That's
pop,
insane.
yeah, especially for how new it is. For usually songs like that need to be a lot older, I'd say, to be as famous as
Yeah,
they
that's
are.
right. I would have put it down as a Scottish traditional tune, but it's not even.
Yeah.
I always thought it was. Right now is the first moment I realised.
It was someone actually I was busking and
I don't know how to feel.
someone in the street told me that. I had no idea. There was someone passed and said, "Do you know?"
I
and
think
had
I was
no
there
idea.
that day.
I don't know how to feel about this.
I'm going to have to process this now.
Internalise. Oh yeah.
Matthew, if you get any other questions for Melissa that you can, I think we've gone through the list more or less.
Yeah. I asked a similar question, but do you have any? What's your best memory in the 20 years you've done bagpipes? It may be quite hard, but is there any that have been like, this is why I do this?
Oh, the traditional Cayleys in Lewis. There's a few for whatever reason, and I've been asked to come along and pipe at them, and it's not the kind of dance. So these ones will kind of split. You have the Cayley and then a dance.
Yeah.
And the dance is what a lot of people here would call a Cayley.
Yeah.
And this is, so I would usually be the piper. I would open the night, and then you'd get some cracking singers, accordionists, things like that. A lot of amazing Gaelic singers, and I love being involved in that traditional Gaelic community of it. That's definitely my favourite part of the piping.
Yeah.
The Donna McLeod piping competition, they do a special one for a slow ear, and whoever wins the slow ear competition, it's not a proper competition, but it's whoever the audience will sing along with loudest. So you need to pick a good Gaelic slow ear and have the audience sing along, and whoever sings along the most, you've won your black pudding. That's
Yeah,
the prize. It's starting to be black pudding.
That is a real deep. That's when you're really buried deeply in your traditions, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
you
I
really
love
feel like
it.
you're part of your tribe. Yeah.
I love it.
Do you know, Melissa? It's been. Sorry, have you got something else?
No, so I've done that once or twice. No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to wrap up actually.
Yeah,
Unless you've got another question, can you tell the audience where they can find you on the socials that are
Yeah, Melissa Jeffrey Piping on Facebook and Instagram.
brilliant?
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Melissa. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming, and thank you a lot for joining us and listening in. And we'll see you next time.